Hello and welcome back to First Round TV. I am your host, as always, dazzling Darren Barker, former IBF middleweight champion of the world. Right, okay. Put your hand up if you believe that the Feb 22nd card in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, is the best of all time. I'm going to give you two hands. Without a shadow of a doubt, my 30 plus years of being involved in boxing, I've been very lucky. I've seen some brilliant shows across the world. But I cannot remember one as stacked as this. You know, we're looking at potentially Joshua Buatsi versus Callum Smith or Agit Kabayel versus Zhilei Zhang. Agit Kabayel, potentially one of the most informed fighters at the minute. Not just in the heavyweight division, but some of his wins of late have been incredible. They could be on first on the bill. Number one on the card. I mean, it's ridiculous. Every single time myself and Barry Jones are sat ringside about to commentate on these fights, just before one of the big fights, ring walks, are about to come, we nudge each other and go, yeah, here we go. We're going to be doing this for every single fight. It's incredible. But the top of the bill of that mammoth card is the rematch between Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev. I mean, look, we waited many years to get this fight, and we wondered, would we ever see the fight between the two best in the light heavyweight division, arguably two of the greatest ever light heavyweights to ever grace the ring. And we're seeing them fight again. I think it's about 4 months since the first fight in this epic rematch. A first fight that divided opinion. Most, including myself, believed Bivol won it. But you couldn't really argue with Beterbiev getting the decision. Was it too wide on the scores? Yes, it was. Anyway, that's all history. They fight again Feb 22nd in what is no doubt going to be another epic fight. The first fight, again, just to quickly tread back on that, was one of my favourite fights of last year. Contrasting styles, Bull v Matador. Obviously, Beterbiev being the Bull, Matador being Bivol with his fleet-footed, quick hands, flurry of combinations against the heavy-hitting, knockout artist, the destruction, wrecking ball that is Artur Beterbiev. I thought that the movement from Bivol was so good early on, and it frustrated, it annoyed Beterbiev throughout lots of that contest, certainly early on, but 10, 11, 12 were big rounds for Beterbiev. How do I see this rematch playing out? Well, when I looked back at that first fight, although I thought Bivol won, I do believe Beterbiev could potentially do better out of the two in the rematch. And the reason I say that is he did finish the last fight really, really well. And that was through periods of pressure that he put Bivol under. But he didn't start as quick as I was expecting. And if he can start quicker and get in the face of Bivol and really apply pressure, educated pressure, he can't be reckless, then he can put an even more hurtful dent in Bivol and perhaps cause a bigger dent. For Bivol, I think he's got to do more of the same. But what I liked with Bivol was the flurry of combinations that he put together with such ease. Just bang, 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 3-4 shots. Didn't load up with anything. And funny enough, it's probably something that Beterbiev should do. He should take a leaf out of Bivol's book. Not everything has to be rock hard, solid. Doesn't have to load up with the shots. He naturally punches so hard, so he can change up the power of the shots. I actually did commentary on a fight the other day, and Ellie Scottney joined me on Before the Bell, and she said something really, really good. She described it as layers. Layers of power, layers of speed, keeping your opponent thinking all the time, second guessing. You can't be predictable in boxing. So, yes, even if you are a massive puncher, if you're punching full pelt as hard as you can all the time, you as an opponent are able to read the rhythm and almost get used to the power. It's strange to say, but you do. So by mixing the speed, the power, the angles, the presence of the shots, it makes you a difficult proposition as a fighter. So Bivol does that really well. I'd like to see Beterbiev do that. Just nice flurries of shot. Doesn't have to load up with everything. Then throw a heavy shot. Going back to Bivol. Bivol, what he done so well is any time that Beterbiev threw a lazy jab, and I mean, there's lazy jabs and there's very lazy jabs. I don't think any of Beterbiev's were that lazy, but now and again, a little guilty of just pouring the shot and not really snapping the shot out. Bivol would fire over with the right hand and had real success. Body shots from Beterbiev, going back to the wrecking ball. I think body shots will be key. They slow down the legs of a fleet-footed fighter. Remember, the 12-round fights are marathons, they're not sprints. So you want to use that time effectively. You can't just expect, your opponent to fade away without putting any real dent in them. So body shots. Anyone that's fought over the long championship rounds, including myself, will tell you they're horrible. Even when you hit round the side, you hit the arms, all of those shots take their toll. And I've not been in the ring with anyone nearly as heavy-handed as Beterbiev. Nowhere near. The man is a beast. So if he can start whacking the arms, whacking the body, slow down that energy, sap that tank of Bivol, then he has more success. But, and this is probably because it was my style of boxing, I will always pick a boxer over a fighter. And what I mean by that, when I say a boxer over a fighter, is somebody that moves and aims to hit and not be hit. A fighter sometimes is the guy that wants to get in your face and is kind of happy to take two to land one. So I'll always favour the boxer, the fighter that can be smart, intelligent, go first and third. So land the first shot, avoid the second, and come back with a third. The counter puncher, the fighter that is always using their brain. And that's not that fighters don't use their brains, but they may be a little more reckless than the boxer. So I believe that Bivol will get into a groove, will be quick, and though I believe Beterbiev needs to be busier, I believe Bivol will. And I feel it will be another close encounter. It will be one of those that before you know it, it will be the bell for the 12th and final round. We'll all be looking at each other saying, where has that gone? Where has that fight vanished? And it will be a close one on the scorecards. I believe Bivol will get the nod, and we could be so lucky that we see a trilogy. And I mentioned pot of gold. Where does the winner go? Well, the winner will reign supreme in the light heavyweight division. This is about legacy, though. This is about really cementing yourself as arguably the best light heavyweight that's ever graced the sport of boxing. And then there's opportunities for the winner, obviously. David Benavidez looks so good in defeating Morrell. I mean, this man is a beast. He does not stop throwing punches. A little unorthodox, I think, at times when he lets his shots go. But he's got a great chin, though he was dropped against Morrell, more off balance. He's got a great chin. Like I say, he's a unit. He's huge. And he just grabs the fight by the scruff of the neck. Honestly, I mean, I don't want to get sidetracked from the fight at hand, the Bivol Beterbiev fight. But can you imagine the winner of that fight, Benavidez? I mean, again, it's always been a terrific division, the light heavyweight division. But if you look at those three fighters there, putting those in a pool with each other, it is spectacular. And then I'm getting ridiculously carried away here, but it's one of the fights that I would dream of seeing. A fantasy fight, but we're seeing fantasy fights. We're seeing Canelo fighting Terence Crawford. Who thought we would have seen that? It's happening. I would love the winner of Bivol Beterbiev. Look, we don't know if there's rematch clauses, etc. I don't know the details of the contracts, etc. But I would love the winner of that, whether it be Bivol Beterbiev, fight Jai Opetaia up at cruiserweight. They've both got big enough frames. I believe they can step up to cruiser. And can you imagine that fight? Would be absolutely epic. Benavidez versus Jai Opetaia. Those four, I believe, and I've heard that Opetaia does have his sights set in the future moving up to heavyweight division. Why wouldn't you? It's the marquee division in world boxing. Always has been. It always generates the biggest money and the biggest attention. Boxing, you could almost say at times, relies on the heavyweights. It relies on those big heavyweight fights to capture the real imagination of the sports fan. But like I say, the pot of gold for the winner of Beterbiev and Bivol is huge. There's legacy. There's huge mega fights. There's fights up at cruiserweight. This is the battle of all battles on the card of all cards. It is ridiculous. And just to quickly go through it, chief support. Daniel Dubois versus Joseph Parker. That is top of the bill anywhere in the world. The IBF heavyweight title on the line. The winner of that goes on to something massive. You know, huge mega fights. I mean, that is a mega fight, but you know what I mean. There are huge potential opponents and huge shows and opportunities for the winner there. Madrimov versus Virgil Ortiz Jr. I mean, somehow that fight seems to be simmering and being forgotten about almost. I mean, what a fight that is in the 154 division. Incredible fight. My old division, Hamzah Sheeran versus Carlos Adames. I spoke to Eddie Hearn yesterday, and he was saying when he was in the States recently, watching Adames spar against, and he wouldn't name who they were, but some top-class fighters. And the word is he done very, very well and turned a lot of heads. He's firing on all cylinders. But me and many believe that Hamzah Sheeran could be one of the future stars, not just of British boxing, of world boxing. Everything is there, but now he's stepping up 2 or 3 levels. So we will find how good the young Londoner is. Like I say, Joshua Buatsi, Callum Smith, Battle of Britain. Who's going to move on? Who's got that little bit left? We've not seen, I don't believe, the best of Buatsi. And Callum Smith, if there's ever a fight that he needs to really push on and get that extra % out at this later stage in his career, it would be someone like Buatsi. So yeah, the card is mega. It's a mammoth card. It's a card that me and everyone involved in boxing cannot wait for. Well, you can join me with this one whilst I'm sat there ringside commentating on this mega card, the card of the century on the global home of boxing, The Zone. Dmitry Bivol versus Artur Beterbiev, 2 of the best light heavyweights ever at the top of the bill. Chief support, the IBF heavyweight championship of the world between the champion Daniel Dubois versus the experienced Kiwi Joseph Parker. Click the link in the description to buy this pay-per-view without any subscription.